welcome back, beautiful listeners, to another episode of Gurl, Whet podcast. And today's episode is called Cap City. Is it all love? So this is an episode with just the elevated Esther Jade
and Lo Main.
And it's just us today. So we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about, Lo?
So we're going to be talking about Richmond, which is also known as the Cap City. Our first segment for What's the Thesis? It's Richmond versus RVA.
Ooh.
So, as a Richmond native, or I grew up on the outskirts of Richmond, but I was also coming into the city for many reasons. It allowed me to witness the transition of Richmond into RVA. Richmond was harder, yet the sense of community was strong. Richmond was on the map, but for many bad reasons. From the early 90s to the early 2000s, Richmond made numerous appearances on the top 10 most dangerous cities in the nation list. Murders were regular stories on the news, and many of them went unsolved. Richmond and the surrounding areas were places even rappers didn't want to come to. And reasons for that is because most of them had been robbed or banked, or, that's my word that I use. I think that's probably a Richmond word too. But, banked or beat up by a group of people.
I love that word.
Huh?
Banked.
Yeah, girl. I used to say, they got banked in middle school. It's always saying it, right? And it's crazy because, even some still refuse to come to the city because of their traumatizing experiences. So, there are also so many memories that are now gone. If you listen to our finale, of season 1, you heard us talk about some of the landmarks that were stamped in our memories, but they're no longer here. And, for anyone, that experienced that, those erasures of those sites is where RVA was born. But I don't think too many of us knew that, with those landmarks disappearing, that it was beginning, to birth RVA. So some of y'all might ask, what's the difference between Richmond and RVA? So in my honest opinion, RVA is a gentrified Richmond.
Clock it.
And I mean, that's plain and simple. While the makeover of the city is really cute, many locals have also been displaced. RVA is a scene. It's caused the city to go from top 10 most dangerous cities to the top 10 cities to visit for diverse cuisine. Many people come to RVA to visit, walk around with no fear in the world. Well, unless they see a black person, and then, you still have those people that want to clutch their purses or try to turn the other way. But those are the type of people they might intend on doing, they think they're going to do some type of harm. And most of the times that's not the case.
No. Crime is in proximity to where you live.
Yeah.
So it's going to be someone that looks like you that commits a crime against you.
And, and so that's pretty much what RVA is. There's still a mix of cultures and races, but it has become a prominent place for whites to feel like they truly do own all of the city. Even the areas where blacks are living, we're seeing a lot more whites out in those areas that they would never once upon a time try to even step foot on. And like you said, Hull Street is one of them. Highland
Manchester
Park
area.
Highland Park. I know my dad lives on a street, and it's crazy because they still have a lot of the old homes. But then it's like when you go down to the other half of the street, literally it's only 2 houses, but they're almost $1 million houses.
That's insane.
And if you all aren't familiar with Highland Park is one of the areas that is considered the hood, and I say that in a nice way, but growing up that was the hood, so that's definitely something that is going on, Richmond versus RVA. So Esther,
yes ma'am,
I know that you aren't originally from the 804 area, or I should say from the Richmond area. When you came down to this area, was it more aligned with Richmond or RVA based on what I've
definitely more with Richmond.
Okay.
I have family that lived in Chesterfield, all the way out there, Falling Creek. And that was where a lot of up and coming, just what do you call it? Middle income.
Yep.
Families, working families would be. It was like a really good mix, a very safe neighborhood. When I would come and frequent, and you know, with the push of pushing Black and brown people out of the city, they're getting pushed out into the annexed
counties.
part. Yeah, the annexed parts of the city is really the county.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're basically trying to squeeze, you know, us there too. Out there. Or out of there, I should say. Yeah. But, yeah, I have a lot of fond memories.
And it's funny that you say that area because actually, like, I went to Fallen Creek Middle, you know, so I'm very familiar with that area. And it's crazy to even see now with what you're talking about, like, you know, pushing people out of the city into the county, because even now, like, you know, with the likes of Chesterfield and Henrico, there are a lot of brown people. And you see, like I said earlier, you see more predominant in RVA, the whites, you know, kind of taking over and making it theirs or trying to make it theirs. So that's definitely something that is still going on, which is unfortunate.
I'm going to do it a lot through poverty, which is really sad because, I mean, there is a lot of culture in Richmond for sure. I don't mind the facelift.
Yeah.
Known as RVA. What I don't like is that it is not inclusive. It's very much like, you know, you price people out.
That part.
And you know, most people that have the accumulated white wealth are white people. And so that's the part I don't really care for.
Yeah, because, I mean, and then again, like in Highland Park, you put those almost $1 million houses in a place that was once affordable for low income families, you know, so it's like, of course, the price of living is now skyrocketing over there, like probably double, triple from what, you know, they're typically used to. So a lot of people who are looking over there as that, you know, once again, being in a safe community, they're having to go elsewhere or may end up in shelters or homeless and things like that because they can't afford, you know, what they once could afford.
And you know what's really crazy is that the only way, like, you know, the shelters are only in the cities.
Oh, I know.
Which is in Petersburg and the city of Richmond, not in the counties. So what is that telling you?
That I know for sure.
They trying to make... We'll save this for another conversation, but the whole poverty making it illegal, that's the pipeline that I see happening. So would you agree that RVA has taken over? Why or why not?
I would say not completely taken over. Just kind of like what you said, but like, you know, what we were saying just now, I do believe that it's at a point where it's will eventually take over. Even I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's a big portion of it, even downtown, is also VCU taking over everything.
Oh God, yes.
And you know, they were already all of downtown, but now it's like they're expanding even more. Somebody was telling me that they're even now up in Fredericksburg.
What?
They're out, like they have like excuse me, like the was it VCU Health now has like centers out in Fredericksburg, and of course they're in Henrico, they're in Chesterfield, they're in like all of the counties as well as in the city.
Sound like bamboo,
right? So it's like, you know,
like
one
everywhere.
thing where it's like, yeah, for sure, and it's just like, okay, everywhere you turn, you're going to see VCU. Like if I have friends that come into town and we go downtown, I'm like, oh, you're about to see, like along that stretch of Broad Street, you're going to see mostly VCU stuff, or you're going to see a good portion where VCU has taken over. And so it's like, I always chuckle because it's like one end of Broad Street is Short Pump. So that's known for the high acidity. And then you have VCU in the middle. And then as you go towards, you know, the other end of Broad Street, it's like going towards Churchill. So even Churchill, like you said earlier, is starting to become gentrified, but
it's already there.
But I will say, yes, it is gentrified, but there are still a lot of blacks that also still live over there. So, you know, that's one thing I can't say. So that's why I say it's not completely, RVA hasn't completely taken over yet, but it's well on its way.
I'll say it's probably way more white people over in Churchill now than there was black people, because every time I go over there, all I see is white faces.
Really?
Except for on Sundays when people are at church.
And
which is insane to me, because a lot of I've talked to some people coming out of the church or coming out of their cars, and if like they commute there to go to church, they don't live there.
Yeah.
So that's wild.
And I think it might also be and which is unfortunate because the system is for the white people. So it's like, oh, if somebody steps outside and it's like, oh, there's a black person making up whatever story about this black person. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, at this point, it's better for me to stay in my house because you're going to see a bunch of them like walking their dogs and lollygagging and all this stuff like that. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, like whatever.
Well, I do live in a gentrified. Well, I won't say gentrified because it's a good mix. It's a working class neighborhood. But yeah, if I was living there, I'd be getting people straight.
For sure. Definitely, for sure.
So as a native, what's something you miss about Richmond? What benefits does RVA bring?
What do I miss about Richmond?
I know what I miss. Seedy locations and seeing what's up.
You said what?
Seedy locations. Like, I'll give you an example. Scott's Addition was nothing but factories, and there was like 2 strip joints over there. And to me, that's an adventure. Some people are like, oh, that's a bad area. No, like, I don't believe in something like bad areas. But I digress. The question's for you.
For me, what do I miss the most? Just the downtown experience. I'm a big foodie. So I guess that's a plus and a negative because it's like where you knew some of these spots were or where you could go get, certain things. It's like they're not there anymore. And I'm wondering if it's because of all of the other, food spots and everything that have come up. I remember in front of the Lowe's, and it's usually most Lowe's, they used to have like those Italian sausage spots.
Yeah.
So good. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like,
Some of them still do that.
I know, but it's not as common because it used to be literally like outside of every Lowe's, not even joking.
There's one at Chester's.
But that's what I'm saying. That's
the other one's a Jamaican food truck.
But I don't see any more of the sausage ones. You know what I'm saying? Like they had big Italian sausages and stuff like that with like whole nine.
Well, you know who was running those.
So it's just like one of those things where it's like, okay, like they're gone now. So, and at the time it was like Italians running it. So it's
I see Mexicans running.
No, that's what I'm saying. Back in the day, it was actual Italians running the food trucks, like slinging up everything on their grills. Like, what do you want on your hot dogs kind of thing. Like it was legit. But then saying with that, that's one thing where it's like, it's a benefit again, because I'm a foodie and a big bag. I'm president of the Big Bag Club, So I love the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, we are in like one of the top 10 cities for people to come experience new foods and new cuisine, because there's always something new to try. And it's like, of course, even now, like, influencers on Instagram and other social media platforms are like, oh, there's this place in Richmond, Virginia, that's good. And most of the time they're like, yep, they right. That's good.
There's a Haitian bakery I want to try.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get to it.
You haven't been yet still?
No, my Tati is coming, so we're gonna.
Okay, go together.
Yes,
good deal.
yes.
Good deal.
I think she stopped before and she said something about she wasn't impressed, but I'm gonna take her again. I'm gonna give the lady a heads up. I said, look, my aunt is a hardcore Haitian, so you gotta come with it.
Get it together.
I want her to knock it out of the ballpark.
Right, for sure.
Let me tell you, West African mothers, Caribbean aunties can be very, very harsh.
The same, yeah. Not gonna hold their tongues. Like, what is this?
What's a memorable Richmond or RVA moment you've had?
For me, and I was about to say this still happens, but it's not the same. Always going to the parades with my dad when I was little. I'm a daddy's girl, so I would always be on his shoulders. Like that's
Robert,
one thing.
Right?
Yes, that's
shout out to Robert.
That he definitely made sure like he would take me down there. That would be like our first Saturday in December, daddy-daughter date. After go to McDonald's, I have tons of pictures of us like from the different years. One year I was on the front of the newspaper, so they cut that out. Of course, think you're a star when you're on the newspaper. But it's just one of those things that definitely holds true, because it's like as you get older, those memories, just hold true to you. So that was a beautiful, beautiful memory.
Well, that's a great segue. We'll be back with our next segment.
Hey y'all, we are back. Happy Saturday. It's your girl Lo Main, and we're gonna hop right into our second segment. What's the tea, sis? If you have been with us, our girl Esther Jade has some hilarious stories that she likes to tell us about her life. So, we're going to go into our Diary of a Girl What with Miss Esther J. Nell. Esther, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I forgot my little diary at home, but there's not one. Every time I go outside, I always come back with a story or two. So I'm sure most people are aware of Meetup, and, I go out there from time to time to just, converse with people I don't know. I always, as someone who is a writer, I like to be around people, and, I like the psychology of how people's minds work. And like, I'm like not therapizing, but I'm definitely breaking people down a lot of times when I'm talking to them in my head. And it's all great stuff to use later when I want to do character development, right? Well, I went to one where it was a group, and I won't name the group, where it was like a night walk.
Okay.
And I was a little late, and I got there, and I was walking behind the group, and they didn't know I was there. And two of the girls who were at the tail end noticed me, like, "Oh, we're in your way." I was like, "No." And we started talking. I was like, "I'm actually trying to catch up with y'all." And I'm having a nice little conversation with them. And there's a black gentleman in front of them, and he notices that I'm talking to them, and I've just joined the group. And he starts jumping in the conversation. And then eventually it's just him and I talking. So we were talking about religion and relationships, and how he had just come out of religion, and like I was asking him some follow-up questions of like why that was, and like what denomination, and he had recently gotten out of a very long relationship or / marriage, and it was a decent conversation, but I never gave any type of like thought or indication that I was open for dating.
Yeah.
The only thing I said about dating was, I left that back in 2024. That's not for me.
Which should be a clear indicator.
You would think. Right? So, this walk ended where you could, at a part on Dock Street, where you either had to go back to your car, or most of the people went to the bar where we were going to just, fraternize.
Right.
And so I drove back with my car, and so did he. And he actually sat across from me, and the conversation got into patriarchy and stuff, and like the stuff that men are doing like online, like the whole Telegram group chat of like 70,000 men that were trading information to like, to do harm to women, like what tricks they could do to like, from drugging to just, to sexually assault women.
Right.
And it was insane. So that was kind of the topic. And I'm not even lying to y'all. Like, I had left that day just thinking nothing else of it. 2 weeks later, I go into my Meetup to check on, like, to look at different things that I could sign up for.
Right.
And here in my inbox, he sends me something 2 days after we had first met. And he says, "Hi, Esther. I almost never use this site's chat, but it looks like the next few group events are full up, so I didn't know when I'd see you next again. I wanted to give you my number," and he did. "I really did love our conversation, probably a little more heavy than I would have preferred. I would prefer during a group meetup or a pub. At a pub, excuse me. But as for over a cup of coffee together or late night texting, it's perfect." Now, my eyes were rolling. Yeah. My eyes were rolling so hard in my back of my brain, you thought I was dead. And he goes, "I kind of wanted to ask your number as we were leaving Friday night, and I got the vibe that you may have wanted me to. That could be off, though." Yeah, he was way off. "But I felt like if I had, right after the sugar honey iced tea we were going on about, I would have come off as thirsty, and you might think I was saying whatever I thought you wanted me to say to get you horizontal." Now, I said in my head, this man is telling on himself. But continue. And he goes, "And to the point, I do want to be clear that I'm more interested in friendship than anything else, assuming you'd be interested in keeping in touch. Coming out of a multi-year relationship, so not in a place to be coupled up."
Wait, this was all in the first message?
This is all the same message. I'm not done. Hold on. Now,
wait, there's more.
Oh, it's more. Now, if you'd be down for something more, I wouldn't say no to a non-monogamous sort of thing, or FWB, emphasis on the F. Trust, I ain't whoring it out for cheap out here. Oh, but you are. You mean you're expensive?
AKA, no, not expensive, you're desperate.
But I didn't know if that's your thing. I guess not. LOL. But anyway, you got my number if you want to talk more about anything. If not, no worries. Prayer hands. Now,
not ending with some prayer hands. Sir, what?
Anyone who knows anything about me,
that just pissed me off.
When people, it's like getting an unsolicited DICK pic.
Yeah,
I didn't ask for it. I didn't talk about it. So why would you do that, right?
But I feel like that's worse than a D pic, because, sir, you just gave me a whole bunch of information I didn't ask for, and then you put emphasis on, like, trying to put it on you, saying, oh, if you want this, if you want that, sir, no, that's what you want. Listen, and you're trying to put the ball in my court. Trust me, the ball has never been in my hands, nor will it be in my hands.
I'm the type of woman, if I are only attracted to men who know what they want. I don't do this hemming and hawing stuff. Oh, I think you like me. Nope. Sorry, I don't do insecure. I just don't, right? So this was my response. I said, evening, kumquat. That's what I'm going to call him. Our conversation was definitely illuminating. The few who really know me understand I have a special relationship with words, and I don't shy away from serious subjects. Life is boring when it's superficial. Mm-hmm. No guts, no glory. That's what the old heads say. In other words, you didn't ask me for my digits, so we'll never know my answer. Look, I'm a disobedient deviant who's only attracted to men who want to serve me. Based on what you've shared about your requirements, I don't believe we're aligned. I hope you find what you're looking for. Simply, Esther. Now, you would think, right? That would be it, right? Nah, son.
That ignited his fire even more.
Oh, and this... You remember how I told you he's insecure?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, no guts though? You say no guts. I say being respectful and reading the room, as well as generally being ambivalent to the whole thing. But yeah, I'll say we're definitely not aligned, and that's fine. And not you signing off on a DM like you're penning an actual letter. You want to talk about old heads mentality? Jesus Christ. That's funny. I'll see you around, Esther. Respectfully, sweetly, openly, and never discreetly, kumquat. LOL. I want to hear from our engineer what he thinks about that whole mess.
Right.
Weird, right?
Sir, what?
Yes. And look, I didn't even respond to it because...
And then you got your panties in a bunch because he didn't give you the answer that he wanted.
I know. Didn't I call it? I say he was insecure. That's not my bag. Like, I'm the type of person I will cut a man down with words. And if you're not strong enough to take that, you don't have a strong sense of self. Cause I don't stroke egos, because I don't ask someone to stroke my ego. I don't need that. But that's what's, that's just one of the things. The other one was when I was on vacation with the kids and low key getting hit on by a 70-year-old man with his wife sitting next to him. And then he reached out to...
That's crazy.
He reached out to the owner of the resort that we're staying at because he wanted to forward my information. And look, we had a really great conversation. Mm-hmm. I think it was warranted. And I did tell him about the show, and I wanted to have him on the show. Shout out. And so it was a little interesting, the conversation before. He's a boomer, mm-hmm. and he's talking about like what was like growing up in Virginia during the time of, I guess Jim Crow's, civil rights, the civil rights movement and stuff, and how it was frowned upon on
interracial.
Yeah, fraternizing in any form, right? And he had mentioned about some sisters that he thought were attractive, and he didn't mention their skin tone. I could only imagine that's what he's talking about. So he was low key trying to tell me he was down with the swirl.
Down with the brown.
And I was like, oh, well, that's great for you. I never respond in a way that men expect. And that's what I really love. I really love seeing the shock on their faces when I say stuff and they're just like, cannot compute.
So you said that he contacted the resort,
yes,
and gave him gave them his information to give to you. Okay,
yes,
that's
yes.
You really put an imprint on him.
I've heard I leave lasting impressions on people, and I was just like, I'm just being me. It's just like this past weekend, I went out to the Run Fair. Shout out to the first Richmond Renaissance Festival. And, there's like several food trucks out there, and the lines are long as heck. And we couldn't decide if it was August or April. Now, I'm talking to this young, married, soon to have a child couple. And they're super sweet. And we're just talking about, this being their first child and all this. And we get up to the cash register, and apparently their friends come out of somewhere and they're calling them like, oh, we're over here, and they come to join them. Now I'm like looking like, I hope these fools ain't gonna break the line, because we've been waiting in this heat for forever. Like 20-30 minutes. And so they stood off to the side. I said, all right, cool. And he ordered all the guy that was in front of me ordered all this food. That's fine, just as long as they're not coming after you, jumping in front of me to get. So he buys the food. I'm about to go up to the counter, and the girl that had just walked up with the guy jumps in front and buys 2 waters in the line to buy bottled water. And I said, well, it must be nice to bypass standing in a line for 30 minutes in this hot ass weather to break and buy what you want.
What did she say?
She turned around and she saw my face, and I could see in her head, I better not try her because she's in the wrong.
Yeah.
And she goes, you know what? You have a nice day. I said, you do the same. Listen, as the older I've gotten, the more I have settled into my Golden Girls character of Sophia. I don't be giving no F's, and I just be saying what I want.
Yeah.
Just like when men say whatever they want to me, I say whatever I want.
I'm going to respond with the same energy. Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, not even the same energy. I think a lot of times I make men uncomfortable with the things I say. And that just brings me so much joy.
But that's the thing. When I say same energy, I mean like they think that they can get away with saying anything. And so you're there to be like, oh, I can one up you. Like, don't think that I'm one of these other women that's like, oh, no, like, I'm going to make you rethink the next woman you speak to, how you going to approach her. And was like, because you're not getting the time with me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think they don't change. They just know, I'm not gonna mess with you. That's fine. But some of them, they think it means try harder, and that tickles me even more, because then that means I could mess with them even more.
Yeah.
Because a no, or even if a lot of times what I notice is that men don't, and then this is not all men, let me put that disclaimer, don't look at body language. Mm-hmm. They do coercive behavior, like keep asking, like a hug. Like I've had men ask me for hugs, and I was like, no, I do a handshake. And I'm just first meeting them.
Yeah.
It was a whole Nigerian dude talking about, you embarrassed me, and you're too much work, and I wouldn't want such. And I'm like,
and this is your first time meeting him?
Yes, child. These men out
I'm baffled. So I'm so baffled. I'm not like, what? I embarrass you, sir? What? I don't know you.
Exactly. I was like, in my head, I was like, there was no one in the shop except us and the ice cream shop owner, and she went in the back. What he's saying is, you didn't allow me to touch you. Like a lot of men don't like it when I establish my boundaries.
I was about to say.
And I'm like, and sometimes I'd be like, when they ask the question again, I'll be like, do you have a hearing problem? Yeah, I be talking. Yes, girl. We'll get into that later, but I be talking to him like a stern librarian.
Listen, you got to start somewhere. But on that note, y'all, we will be right back. Y'all stay tuned. Happy Saturday, y'all. Thank y'all for sticking with us on the Girl Whet podcast. Podcast. This is Lo Main, and we are getting into the group chat got deep. So today's episode, or today's segment is titled "Who Checks on the Strong Friend?" And we just want to preface you all by letting you know that next week's episode is definitely going to be about women taking care of themselves, specifically Black women. So we decided to start talking about it today by ending this episode with, the topic of who checks on the strong friend. So, definitely, Esther, I'm gonna start this off with you, asking you a question. What do you think? When people call someone the strong friend, what do you think that they actually mean?
Someone who is more emotionally resilient, who's capable of doing the emotional work. And I'm not going to say they're assuming that the strong friend can do the emotional work for them per se, but it's just saying that this is someone who, in lack of better words, has can control their emotions. And I think that is a very unfair assessment, because that does not mean you have a strong, you have a hold on your emotions. Maybe you just don't respond to something the same way.
That part. A lot of people have referred to me as a strong friend, and
how did that make you feel?
Overall, like, it's a good feeling that people see that I am able to, kind of be the person that they can trust to come to. But then sometimes it can get very heavy. Just because, as we'll later discuss, it's like, sometimes people don't check on the strong friend.
No.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, honestly, for me, I've learned I've had to depend on a lot on like journaling and doing things like that to get my emotions out, because a lot of things that I'm dealing with or going through, a lot of people may not relate to or understand. So it's like journaling has become my bestie. When it comes to things like that, or I'll write in my book, just kind of putting all of those things down in some type of form of writing that helps me kind of decompress, because it can, like I said, it can be very overwhelming, especially because I'm an empath as well. So being a strong friend along with being an empath, that is a lot.
Oh, I concur.
A lot.
I concur. What does it look like to actually check on a strong friend?
For me, honestly, it's just that, checking in, being true and honest, and being like, hey, how are you doing? Like, really, don't sit here and tell me you're okay. Let's sit here and have a conversation. And I'm a big crybaby. So people know, like, if you ask me that, like, be prepared for me to cry, because there's going to be something. And it's not even all the time like sad tears. It's just like even me just getting emotional because somebody is caring enough to ask how I am feeling truthfully and honestly, just taking that time out of their schedules to check on me and check in on me. And one thing I always laugh about is, as I've gotten older, I actually cry a lot more when I'm upset. So it's
that's
like,
healthy.
Yeah, oh no, for sure. Or when my emotions aren't together, when I first wake up, if somebody does something that throws me off, I'll cry. Like, I remember one day Mona had called me, and like, I knew she wasn't yelling at me, but she raised her voice. And like, automatically, because I had, like, she woke me up out of my sleep. She called me, like, automatically the tears were like flowing. And I'm like, and she's like, why are you crying? Like, what is going on with you? I was like, I just need to call you back. I need to get my life together. And I've realized that MJ is the same way. But it's just like, again, kind of, I need time to get my emotions in check, because it's like, it definitely can be hard. But along that path as well, I feel like it's freeing, because it has allowed me to lose people who I once thought were friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, with me being the strong friend, I have to also be aware, hey, like, when you elevate, you can't take everybody with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So in the moment, it may be upsetting and saddening, but then at the end, it's like, it's freeing, So it's like one of those things that can go both ways. And what about you?
Well, that looks like, so I'm very intentional about who I call a friend. And like, for me, it's very much what you said about like checking in. You know, I do have the friends that, that have routinely checked in on me, and understanding also what everyone's weaknesses and strengths are.
Yeah.
Right. I'd say the two closest friends I have are very solid, emotional wise. I would say they're the two friends that almost next to never require me to do any emotional labor for them, or very minimal.
Yeah.
And I feel very safe with them to talk about something I may be going through, because they are the people that I know that, they're not going to be yes men. Right. But they know how to deliver things with tact.
Yep.
But I think the most important thing is that they do check on me a lot.
Yep.
And I appreciate that. I think even if you feel like I might be strong, you still take that time out to be like, how are you really? And they know I won't hold back if they ask me.
Yeah. And that's what's important, because it's like a lot of people. And one thing I had to, I wrote a Facebook post a while ago, just of course, especially with all of the health issues that I go through. It's like one of those things where it's like, I tell people, it's like, number one, I don't like to be asked how I'm doing, so it's like, okay, you ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to be upfront with you. So I'm telling you, you need to hold off just for a moment and really evaluate whether or not you are mentally ready for an outpour of what I'm telling you. So that's why I tell people a lot of times, don't ask me how I'm doing. Like my aunts, of course, they care. So one of my aunts specifically, she'll be really funny. She'll be like, so how are you doing? And then she'll just put a laugh after it, because she knows I hate being asked that, but she does, she's intentionally asking me how I'm doing, because she was my second mother. So it's like, she was the one when Mona was working, I was with her. So we grew up together pretty much, but just one of those things like that. And then, like you said, my best friend, we can call each other laughing, crying, whatever, and be like, what's the deal? What's going on? You can, lay your burdens on me, so to say. And whatever I tell you, you're not going to take it. You're not going to be harsh. You're not think I'm being harsh. Cause sometimes you have to be brutal with, the delivery. But the thing with that is, it's I know you're saying this out of love at the end of the day. It might not be what I want to hear, but it's what I need to hear. So it's one of those things still, as the strong friend, you have to be prepared to not only give that advice, but receive it as well, So that's definitely something that's important.
Do you struggle with asking for help? Why?
Oh, I definitely do. Let me say, that was a huge thing for me. And it's just because of my ego and embarrassment. But then after I had my legs amputated, it was something where I pretty much had to be like, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, so it was something that I really had to learn to lean into, as much as it made me uncomfortable, because I was always that person who was helping everybody else. And I also laughed, because it's once I lost my legs and I stopped driving, that helped me get rid of a whole bunch of people as well. Because it's because I can no longer serve you, you're not there to serve me.
Wow.
So yeah, and my mom always laughs at me. She's like, you're too nice to people. She's like, your discernment needs to be kicked up a little bit higher, because you give people a chance and they don't do
Mama
the same for you.
Mona's on to something.
Yeah. And I mean, and as I've gotten older, it's definitely one of those things where it's I realized it. So I might seem a lot more standoffish in the beginning, but that's because I'm reading you. I'm using that discernment that I have to see, do I need to let you in my life, or can you be an associate? You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. So I'm gonna ask you, do people check on you, or do they assume that you're always good?
I have my people that check on me. Again, there's their friends, good friends. Then there's acquaintances, and then there's just people. There are associates, and I guess associates and acquaintances. Associates are oh, I work with you.
Yeah.
Or we were part of the same group. Acquaintance is someone I may have hung out with once or twice or whatever. But yeah, and then there's friends. And to be a friend, you gotta work for it.
I'm about to say it. And that's what I tell people a lot of times. I'm like, you use the word friend way too loosely. And that's not something like, oh, they'll be like, oh, that's your friend. And I'll quickly tell them, like, no, that's not my friend. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it to be mean, but that's the truth. That's not my friend. Like, no, they don't know everything about me. They don't, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I can tell people, my friend, I don't even have a friend circle. I have a friend period. Like the period sign. Like seriously, like it's, you know, because it's like as you get older, you realize like so many people are selfish and for themselves. And so it's like, even if you open up to them and tell them information, they might go back and tell somebody else, you know what I'm saying? Or they might be riding the fence. So it's like they hear your side, then they hear the other side. And then, you know what I'm saying? Just like playing ping pong. No, I'm almost 40. I don't have time for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely one of those things.
I don't do the telephone thing.
Exactly.
I'm the type of person, if I, you know, I'm very, very open and honest within reason. Like, you know, I'm not just telling everything about myself, but yeah, there's a time and a place for everything. I agree.
It is indeed.
What boundaries have you had to set to protect your peace?
Like I said, honestly, it's done it itself. You know, with me having my amputations, people dropped off. And one thing I have learned is to, if once somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Oh yeah.
So definitely. I used to be that person that would continuously, again, because I'm also that sweet person. Like I have that like hard shell, but I'm very much so a caring person on the inside. So I'm reaching out to people, like, you know, making sure they're okay. And even though I'm not getting responses, I'm still trying to reach out to make sure they're okay. That's not anything I do anymore. If you tell me something or if you show me something that first time, oh, that's it. Like that's the cutoff. My hands are clean. Again, because my peace is my priority. I think I've told you before, and I joke, we have Life 360 on our phones, me and my mom and Miles. And she'll call me and be like, you've been in the house since Sunday. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not leaving unless I have to, because my home is my peace. Like, I was like, not only that, but it's expensive to go walk outside, but I've gotten to the place where I'm at peace alone by myself. I don't need to be around a gang of people. And again, that's like, you know, just kind of saying, like we're saying before, this is kind of, you know, going into the next episode, that's helping me give myself self-love, because it's like, you know, peace is essential.
Of course. For
you making sure you're good, for helping you relax, helping you have those calm moments without having your body tense up, or, you know, getting those migraines and headaches because of the different things that, you know, you're thinking about or what you're doing that's uncomfortable for yourself. So it's like, you definitely, seriously, and I always laugh now because the college I went to was Peace College. So it's like, you know, it's like, oh, peace has followed me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have absolutely no reason to not be at peace, like not be peaceful. And it's just like, if anybody wants to try to ruffle feathers, I'm at that point, okay, you get yourself in a tussle. I don't have time for that. Look, be blessed and go with God.
Well, I definitely think this is going to be a great conversation. We go into the self-care for our next episode. So be sure to check us out next Saturday for that new episode. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to jump into That's It.
That's it.
So for our What's the Tea segment, we talked about Richmond versus RVA, where we talked about Richmond, the cap city, versus RVA, the gentrified version. What was good was bad. What was, you know.
Memorable, yeah.
Yes. And then we jumped into the Love Baby and Other Grownfolx Business, where I've read, not from my diary, but I read from a DM that I recently got from a young gentleman. Well, yes, delusional gentleman who offered his body as tribute, even though I did not ask. But when I said I wanted to use it in other ways, he definitely shied away. I'm in my villain era. And then our final segment, the group chat got deep. We talked about who checks on the strong friend, and we talked about boundaries, and we talked about like what are some of the things that we thought, you know, why, you know, who actually checks on the strong friend, and, you know, when people call someone the strong friend, what does that actually mean? So thank you today for joining us in this Lo and Esther conversation of Girl What podcast.
We will see y'all next week. Y'all have a great Saturday. Stay connected to Girl What podcast by following us online. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Girl What Podcast. That's GURLWHET PODCAST. We'd love to keep in touch with you. Come on, keep talking with us. That's what we do, right? Mm-hmm. So we have our, reflections. If you have any questions, comments, or you yourself want to reflect on anything you've heard us talk about, please don't be afraid to hit us up. Again, you can hit us up in our DMs on Instagram, or if you want to comment under one of our YouTube posts, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, both of those handles are Girl What Podcast, GURLWHET PODCAST.
And you also have the option to leave us a voice memo in our DMs or leave us a voice message at 804-476-0905. Again, that number is 804-476-0905. And with your permission, we may feature it in a future episode. Your voice helps us shape meaningful dialogue on Girl What. So remember to stay in community. Remember to stay bold. And girl, keep talking.